So, episode 8. Probably like my least favorite Star Wars episode. Don't like the plot, honestly. But I have to also be honest and say that it's not as bad as I used to think. Well, let me explain. So, I just read an article. I kind of hyped about the squadron, the EA Squadrons. I know EA, but Star Wars Squadrons coming out. And I was reading an interview with the developer, and he was talking about the developing the game and how to handle the space combat. And he talked about how when you look at the Star Wars combat, it doesn't really they don't really handle like spaceships in the traditional sense of zero gravity. They handle more like planes and like World War II. So if you look over World War II footage of fighting, or if you watch any World War II movies, they act more like that. And it made me go back and think and then relook, and they're right. That's kind of how the starfighters operate. You see the way they turn and bend. They don't take these sharp turns, or they don't kind of keep careening and have to use side thrusters. They kind of there scenes where they drift, or you see in the opening of episode 3 where they barrel roll down. It's very World Fighter esque, and you talked about that's kind of how Star Wars has always been, and make me think that maybe that's what George Lucas meant, and because that's how it's kind of designed, and it mirrors a lot of World War II dogfights if you watch through episodes, 4, 5, and 6, and even in 1, 2, and 3, you kind of get the same sense, as well as the space battles are more like battles in ocean. They're always kind of level. I mean, there's layers, but you see ships firing across their bows. You don't see a ship here and here, and this ship's shooting up and hitting the corner of it. They're kind of even or facing each other, which I kind of think was the intent. It makes it easier to understand, and there's real world mirrors to that. So the opening to episode 8 has one of those scenes. Not when Poe's messing with the First Order all by his lonesome, but when they call in the bombers. And if anyone has seen some old World War II movies, this scene rings true in the terms of it is pretty much a World War II bomber scene. Like if you've ever watched a fighter movie or a World War II movie that has bombers in it, and you're watching from the perspective of them, that is on point, from the looks to the inside of it, in the way that it has people around and gunners, and there's the bomb bay doors, they open, they drop all the bombs. It is exactly the same like bomber movies. And before I was kind of skeptical, I'm like, bombs dropping in space. But they kind of, it fits the mold of what it was. And first of all, I'd liked the scene in the sense of it's a cool scene. I had liked bomber movies. I liked World War II movies. But I didn't like it seeing it in Star Wars. I was like, that doesn't feel very Star Wars. But looking back, I kind of needed to stop looking for things to hate on episode 8. Just like what I dislike about it. And there's no need to go pointing at things that maybe I didn't dislike, that just looking for reasons, looking for something to not fit, even if it does fit. And we just need to be completely honest and critical of what's wrong with the story, and not start blaming things on the physics of Star Wars. For example, one scene I still dislike is when the First Order is chasing the Resistance, and they're firing at them, and you see the lasers, and they curve, and then they explode in space, and I'm kind of like, exploding in space? Really? Is that what we're going for? But in the context of, it's kind of like it's mirroring those World War II movies. They do make sense, and the spaceships don't always operate the same way in every film. I mean, realistically, if you shot a blaster, you figured maybe it would go on forever or it would fizzle out. But I don't really remember ever seeing that any of those things in Star Wars at all. Although I do specifically remember blasters shots from ships just kind of fading off into the abyss. But if they wanted to make them explode, then I guess I can't hate on it too much. That scene leads up to one of the worst scenes in the movie, for me personally, when What's-Her-Face turns on the hyperdrive and blows up the entire fleet. That scene really upset me. Not only did it feel like a cheap way out of, you dug yourself this huge hole, how are they going to get out of it? it also felt like it broke the Star Wars universe for me. No one really used the hyperspace or hyperdrive in that way before. Uh, Especially with the Separatists, with literally just having armies of droids. Uh, you know, they think they're gonna lose a battle, just start sending ships at them. But either way, the eighth movie isn't as bad as I had previously thought it was, but it is still my least favorite Star Wars movie. And speaking of all the Star Wars movies, that's going to be the end of the video, but I'm going to announce what's going to be happening here soon on the channel. I am going to be rewatching all of the Star Wars films and writing down and what I like, what I dislike, re-rating them with hindsight in mind, and going through them. It's going to be fun for me. I will have a blast doing that. But yeah, that's what I'll be doing. Don't mind me just dying. But yeah, so that's what's gonna be going on here. Kind of chilling, you know. I'm working on edited stuff, but I like to get out videos, so I'm gonna be doing a lot of these just kind of open talks while I work on edited videos in the background, while I'm doing other things, while just streaming. But yeah, so that's gonna be it for me today. So appreciate it. Like, subscribe, comment, all that fucking jazz. If you do see this video and you want to talk anything specifically Star Wars, other things related, got a pretty wide knowledge on things that don't help me other than talking to people about them. Let me know. And I love talking and I love discourse. If you want to argue that the eighth movie is the best, if you want me to argue that the eighth movie is the best, I love arguing against myself for my own opinions because I consider myself a good arguer, and if I am doing my best on a topic that I don't agree with, and I lose, in my mind, that just solidifies that I held the correct opinion in the first place. I'm rambling. Video's over. I don't know what you're still doing here. I don't know what I'm still doing here. But either way, catch you in the next one.